Welcome back to Q4D at IDC 2026. Today's topic is values.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Who are you? What do you do? And what brings you to IDC?
My name is Shelby Graves. I'm a design director for Advent Health located in Orlando, Florida. So we won a IDSA award. So we got a bronze in service design.
Excellent, excellent. Values are a big topic within the healthcare industry. What do you see as a motivating factor within your organization?
Absolutely. We are a faith-based organization, and I think health is one of the things you can't outrun. You can't buy it, and it is the one thing that everybody has to deal with, gets to deal with on a daily basis, whether it's you, a family member. Consumers can choose to buy a product, buy a phone, buy a car. Your health, you get no choice in.
Right.
So we're in a really unique industry where we are serving people that oftentimes don't have choice. So where are the opportunities where we can give them choice and be designing for this broad spectrum of the best day of your life when you're having a kid to maybe the worst day of your life where you're losing a family member or experiencing something really, really hard. So being able to root ourselves in compassion, empathy, and really putting yourself in that person's shoes as you design is really a driving factor for our team.
Great. So those experiences shape how you affect the experiences people have as well as physical products. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we utilize design thinking. So, empathy-based research, genuinely putting yourself in that person's shoes. Go walk a mile in their shoes, whether it be a patient family member, one of our team members, but go experience the world from their perspective. Ask them questions, be curious, and how are you bringing them a part of the design process so that you're creating solutions that genuinely will work for them.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. So I'm not sure, is this your first time at an IDC conference?
Not my first time, but I haven't been in a long time. So
okay.
Last one was in Chicago, I believe in 2019.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So how has your experience been here this year in Pasadena?
This has been wonderful. The weather is beautiful, the venue is beautiful, the people are always so kind. This year though, I would say the thing that I've appreciated the most, I'm a big foodie.
Oh, okay.
And, oh my goodness, the elevation of just the lunch alone yesterday was spectacular. The food, the texture, the taste, the color, I mean, it was healthy and protein based, and it had an option for everybody. We have a vegetarian on our team,
yeah.
And I was talking to her and she said, there's something here for me that I actually really enjoy.
That's great. You don't really hear that a lot about conferences.
No, it's the same thing every time. You get really carved up and sugared for breakfast. You get something really cheap for lunch, like pasta or something, and you get in by 2 o'clock, you look around the room, and everybody is ready to fall asleep.
I think yesterday we had a pretty good level of energy going throughout the day. So,
absolutely.
Great. Shelby, thank you so much for answering today's questions and being a part of Q4D.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Bye. Hello. Who are you? What do you do? And what brings you to IDC?
My name is Hannah Birkin-Harper. I am an associate professor at New Jersey Institute of Technology, and I'm the design lead at Street Lab, which is a nonprofit that creates pop-ups in public space.
Great.
And I'm here in both of those roles, actually. I'm going to talk about industrial design in public space, and I'm here as part of IDSA's National Education Council.
Excellent, welcome. So you actually are speaking today. What is your topic about, and how does it drive values?
So my talk is all about public space design and how that really happens at the industrial design scale, but it's an area that's really occupied by architects.
Yes.
And it's about how we talk about community engagement in schools all the time, and it's taught in lots of ways about like how to engage with communities, how to engage with users. And then students come to me all the time and they say, like, how do I do this kind of work?
Right.
And like there aren't really jobs in that zone, but we're teaching it. So it's about like how we might start to think about industrial design in those zones.
So when we're talking about these liminal zones for designers, how are you thinking they approach going after either jobs or creating their own spaces?
Yeah, I think one thing that's important to understand in public space work is like how it's funded, how it comes to be, how you work with government, how you work with communities, and that's not, this isn't anti-architecture. It's
of course.
It's like how do we access those spaces? And so like ideally, the talk becomes a conversation about maybe other people's practices or how to start getting involved in your community, even if it's not like a whole firm that's doing this, because that, more or less doesn't exist.
Yeah. So when you're working with communities, you have to embrace not only their values, but also impart your own. How do you navigate?
I mean, I think it's really a culture of listening and consensus building and finding where your expertise as a designer or like your training as a designer can really shine through to augment people's experiences. My work is really in working with communities that don't have a ton of vibrant public spaces. And so it's like, how do people want to come together in public space, and how do we create like beautiful designed experiences that make people feel great about doing that? Because one thing that design is amazing at is like creating specialness, or like you can show a ton of care through design.
Yeah.
And so like if we understand how people want to feel in space and what they want to do in public spaces, then we as designers, I think, intuitively know how to design for those spaces.
Sure.
But it's really community first.
Great. There's a lot of empathy building, both internally as well as for the community, for each other, correct?
Yeah. And it's consensus building, right? Because the community is not just one point of view.
Right.
There's often like lots of things at play. And I'm in New York City, so public space is really like, but what about the parking? But how will we move around? And what about emergency services? And then my design work is in pop-up, and so it's things that go out for a while and then go away, and then come and go. But one of the amazing things about that is that it demonstrates in a temporary way what it could be, and that really gets over a lot of the roadblocks, because don't worry, it's going to be gone in a few hours. Like you can't get that upset, right?
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh wait, we want it back, and then that starts to pave the way for conversations about how to make those kinds of things more permanent. Right? It's like it's demonstrating that people will come and use it without 5-year permitting processes. And
it's like public test bedding in a way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That means like practical urbanism, right? There's like
Right. So being both an instructor, faculty, as well as a practitioner, how do you manage and juggle teaching, conveying what you believe in, but also embracing what's coming next, and how, whether it's technology or just the mindset of people that shift?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are always going to be people, right?
Yeah.
And I think that empathy model is extremely important, and is sort of like technology agnostic, right? It's like, my work is wildly low tech. Really, there's like digital fabrication, but it's not, there's no AI happening in putting furniture in public space. At least not right now. But I think the students really embrace the idea that like they're working with people, and I think they appreciate often that like it helps them find the answers, right? It's not just like, oh, I think we should do this, and then it doesn't work. It's like, well, you'll know if it works or not, because people will use it or they'll be excited. The other thing about temporary work is that you can do a lot of live prototyping, and so you can try a thing, and as long as it's safe, right? There's a baseline of safety. But if it's safe and you try it and it doesn't work, like you don't have to bring it back. Which definitely happens. And I think that's also that's something that I model in student projects as well, which is like, let's just, I don't know, try it. Just try it. Like make it out of cardboard and try it. And so I am definitely someone who massive proponent of lots of like quick, cheap cardboard prototypes.
Awesome, especially at scale when we're talking in a public area, using rough, hard materials that are cheap and easy to get.
Right.
Gives you that sense of scale and you can react to it.
I mean, and it's funny because my students, there are now many jokes about like my cardboard hoarding tendencies, like always having materials on hand. And, like, and they'll be like, "Oh, I don't have the stuff." I'm like, I have like a closet full of cardboard.
Awesome.
There's like cardboard and tape.
Are you scrubbing through the alleyways of New York, grabbing cardboard flats, breakdowns?
Oh my gosh, there's like, just it's all from campus, right?
Oh,
it's
sure.
Like,
so you are the recycling facility
I am the cardboard recycling facility.
That's great. Is there anything you're looking forward to here at the conference?
I mean, I've seen some really great presentations on the academic side, for sure. I just, before I ran out here, saw this amazing collaboration between occupational therapists and design students.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
about making like adaptive products.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. And then I really loved the ComTech presentation this morning, which was like, it was really incredible.
We've got some really great people coming together in one spot, and that's one of the bonuses of conferences like this. And I'm not paid to say it. I do think it's really rare, like having both the academic side and the industry side in the same place. And I think one of the things that a lot of times they're separate in these conferences, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah. We have an education town hall this afternoon that's about like how to bring those two together even more.
Great.
But I think it's exciting because you get to see there are conversations that happen. Like, what are the students learning? Like, what do they need to be learning? The industry folks are here.
Honestly, the energy changes because you have a lot more intermingling of like students, educators, professionals, young professionals, the older professionals that have been in this for a while. It's great. It's great. Hannah, thank you so much for answering the question for designers, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Hello, who are you? What do you do, and what brings you to IDC?
My name is Chanel Ricks. I'm the Director of Events and Technology Experience at IDSA.
Great. What brings you to IDC 2026?
So my job is logistics and coordination for IDC, and so that goes from site selection to conference planning, logistics, managing transportation, food and beverage, all the things as it relates to IDC planning. So what you eat, drink, see, all the things.
So you literally brought IDC to us.
Correct.
Excellent. So how long does it take to start the planning of a conference like this?
Yes, so we start the planning process with contracting, and typically that happens about a year and a half out from fruition of the conference. So we are thinking about 2027 and 2028 now, which is still late because typically we are looking for venues 3 to 5 years in advance, but right now we're running at about 2 years in advance.
Great. So what is the coordination between yourself, the board, and the members of the planning committees?
Yes, so my primary role is working with the conference planning committee. So we have a team of a conference planning chair as well as a couple other volunteers that work hand in hand with the content. So the committee that I work with works with the content, speakers, all the things. I then turn that into how does that look and feel at conference. So I'm managing all the session assignments, the room assignments, breakfast and lunches and dinners and sponsorship sessions and all those things. So I'm responsible for making sure everyone feels loved at conference and everyone eats, drinks, and feels happy.
I have to say, I've actually received lots of compliments on all of this.
Good.
So,
well, it's easy when you're at a location like California, especially with Pasadena. There's a lot of locally grown food and beverage here. I know there's a herb garden literally right by. There's a there's an ice skating rink right behind where we are, and there's
Right.
an herb garden right there, and fruit where they're growing like tomatoes and vegetables and all kinds of stuff. So a lot
Amazing.
of it is locally sourced.
That's great. That's great. What were some of the challenges, being that you're located in DC, correct?
Yeah.
What are some of those challenges?
So I think the biggest challenge for me is I always say I can't really get a good feel on the venue unless I rub noses with it.
Sure.
So doing the site visits and and just taking a look at the space to really understand how it flows with our group and our programming is the hardest part. When you live 3,000 miles away,
Yeah.
it isn't always easy. So we've done 3 site visits, one for the contract, one for pre-planning, and one just to make sure all of our ducks are in a row.
Right.
And just looking at the space and making sure that it flows with what we're looking for.
Excellent, excellent. So I know you worked with the team on some of the themes for the conference, and today's theme is values. And how do you see values shining through in what the conference has brought today?
Yeah, so I mean, I look at it from a very holistic view, in that I think it's hard for me because I am very much ingrained in how is it facilitated on site. Like,
Right.
how do we do it on site? What does it look like from boots on the ground? So when I think about like the values, I think about like our welcome party last night, or the connection theme that we had yesterday, and like how it filtrates with the values today. I just look at it from a very holistic view of how does it impact our attendees from like minute to minute basis. Like,
Gotcha.
is it in the in the food that we're offering in the morning, and how do they feel after they eat, and like all the things. Like it all is so intrinsically connected that it's
Yeah.
hard for me to say that one particular thing is connected to the values or connection.
Right.
But it's more about like, how do they feel from a minute to minute basis, so that I
Sure.
know that they feel happy on site. And I think that
Great.
kind of goes back to the values.
So even though you probably do not consider yourself a designer, you are designing this experience. And that how does working with designers or sometimes for designers, what are the challenges of that?
It's interesting because I am not a designer by trade, but
Right.
a lot of our role is in effect design focused, right? And
Right.
so, I think about like the logistics of it all, which is like not something that our regular attendee would think about, but like,
Yeah.
how do they get from breakfast to their next session, and is there a place for them to eat, and where do they sit, and when do they get coffee, and what time is that spaced with what time the breaks are happening? So I think all of that kind of plays into effect of not necessarily designing a product, but almost like it is a product, but the product is actually the event and not
Yeah.
necessarily a tangible
thing, yeah.
So I think that's really how I think about it.
Well, as one of the members and as somebody that has worked with you on this, I want to thank you for designing our experience, bringing it to life, and making IDC 2026 a success.
It has been an absolute pleasure to plan an event like this. I so love what I do. I've been doing this for we'll stop at 20 years, but it's definitely been longer than that.
Yeah.
But the joy that I get in the uneventfulness of it, like
Sure.
now that everyone is sort of, they know where they're going, they know where food is, they know where
Yeah.
their breakout sessions are, they know what the app looks like, all those things. It just makes me happy. Like this is
Yeah.
where, this is what I've been working for the last year. So.
Thank you for all the work, and appreciate you answering questions for designers.
Thank you. And I'll just shout out the team too. They did an
Yes,
amazing job.
please
This
do.
was not just me. This was
Absolutely.
an entire team.
Yeah. Hello, welcome. Who are you? What do you do? And why are you here at IDC?
All right, so my name's Tylen Chop. I'm our EVP of Innovation and Industrial Design at Westinghouse.
Okay.
So I lead innovation and industrial design for that business. Previously, spent almost 15 years with Stanley Black & Decker doing very similar roles in that organization. And what brought me here was just the opportunity to interface with like-minded designers and see what's going on in the world from some of the most fascinating minds in our industry.
Great, great. So I've got a question. Today's topic is values.
Okay.
And you work at some of the largest corporations that put out products to consumers. How do your personal values, as well as how do you express corporate values in
design?
Yeah, I think it all centers around user-centered design, so doing things to make people's lives better. Empowering people. In fact, that's our slogan for Westinghouse is powering people since 1886. So that plays right into that one. But the other value thing is one of the things I was doing here was presenting the business value of industrial design. So different use of the term value, perhaps,
absolutely.
But it just popped in my mind since that's what I was talking about earlier today.
Yeah. And how do you see, from the business standpoint, how do we put ourselves forward more as designers as a value to the business model?
Yeah, I think we have this like superpower as designers to be able to put ourselves in the role of other professions. So your marketing counterpart, your engineering counterpart, your business leader, if you empathize and use empathy to pretend to be them and solve some problems, take on some of their problems as your own, that's kind of our superpower. We're trained to do that. None of the other disciplines are. So we can have a really big impact for the business by taking that kind of approach and embracing other disciplines' problems instead of, which is sometimes a knee-jerk reaction to fight things that don't align to what you're trying to do. If you try to solve the whole problem, then everybody moves forward.
Excellent. So do you see your role as representing a lot of different factors? So like the user, the marketing group, the business group, that sort of thing. How do you struggle? I'm going to go on the personal side.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that personally when you're talking about a lot of money on the line, a lot of people's lives impacted?
Yeah, I think personally, I don't know, it's just a belief thing, I think. You believe you're doing the right thing that's the best thing for the business, also the best thing for the profession, helping people advance their careers and understand how to drive more impact with our skills.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's actually really fulfilling to look at it that way. So yeah, I enjoy that.
What, as a leader in these design groups, how do you instill that to younger or new designers on your team?
I think trying to share the perspective of the business and those other stakeholders and kind of teach people what's valuable to them and how they can use their skills to benefit not only themselves but the organization and help you move quickly and decisively and develop great products for end users that and you know what your impact on the business is when you do that too. So knowing your numbers is not a common industrial design thing at all. And those that do tend to have a lot of success and opportunity.
Great. With the expansion of and continuing growth of technology, how do you see that vectoring in with both corporate and personal values?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I think you're hinting around AI a little bit there too, which is a question, right? There's a faction of looking for replacement, for design, and there's a faction of wow, what a superpowered tool for us to leverage, and also it's kind of oversold in some ways at the time, but it can make a skilled designer even more powerful and valuable to their organization. So I think just like computers and other advancements, I think that's the way I tend to look at it.
Great.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. It's a little terrifying, I will say. I think when NVIDIA and Dassault Systems are working together, I was like, they may have in the future the ability to really do some things without us that maybe we won't like as a profession. So I think it's important to get in and lead and make sure we're driving with human empathy, like has been said in this conference the whole time.
Yeah, I think I've heard this echoed throughout the conference is that our fear really kind of just needs to be led by us taking the reins, and it's our opportunity to either cower or lead.
Yeah, I think we should always take the opportunity to lead when we have it. I think it's easy to go into like a subservient role. I think there are designers that have a tendency to want to just get in the corner and solve a problem and do design work.
Yeah.
But I would challenge people to get uncomfortable and get involved in the rest of the business and understand other people's perspectives and take that leadership role. I think designers are more than capable from a capacity standpoint to do that and to solve those problems. Though they might not always want to, it tends to be rewarding when they do.
Yeah. I love how you're phrasing this and giving us kind of marching orders as in a very encouraging way.
It's an opportunity. I think, every change is an opportunity, right?
Getting uncomfortable is something a lot of us shy from.
Yeah.
And this is a great opportunity because everybody's equally uncomfortable with this growth.
Yeah, my wife would be remiss if I didn't mention like Brene Brown when you say that. She calls fucking first times and
Right.
being uncomfortable and leading with
Yeah.
vulnerability. Those things tend to resonate with me a lot. I think it's something that some leaders do naturally, and it works. It's a compassionate way to lead people. So
That's great. Is there something that has stuck with you outside of maybe what you were expecting from the conference?
a lot, a whole lot. There's some people doing some really fascinating things. Very humbling. Getting to feel stupid in a room is a wonderful experience, and there's a number of folks here that have successfully done that for me, and I've enjoyed that thoroughly.
It's amazing when you have leaders at this level that are still just part of our group of people, but they are amazingly intelligent and really kind of humble you.
Yeah, there's a lot. I had a chance to meet Don Norman while we were here, and he's a
Right.
humbling, intelligent human being. That was a wonderful gift for me to get to learn from him a little bit and get some feedback from him. It was wonderful. Amber Case's presentation earlier was fascinating, and
I've heard
it just resonates so much with the human side of technology. And some of her examples are things that are near and dear to how I like to design products as well. Is that tactile understanding, so you could manipulate a device with your eyes closed, versus the challenge for these screen interfaces in cars where you're like, where are the windshield wipers? Like that kind of thing is.
And you're not sure if you've actually turned it on or
no
tactile feedback.
No tactile feedback, thank you. And you need that. Plus you have to take your eyes off of the road to look at the screen.
Right.
My wife's car has a little joystick on the bottom. It drives me nuts because I'm like, how do I get to the thing? I just want to push it. It's right there. Because my car, I can just push it. Hers is like this knob, and I end up looking down like this. I was like, this isn't safe. But But
it's interesting as a designer that it's hard for us to not look at that stuff and not necessarily critique it, but how do we make it better? Even if it's not our job, we're experiencing it.
Yeah, or you just go, man, I really wish I could just change this little thing. I would really love this if I could just tweak that little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not always that easy to do, but but you want to.
Tylen, thank you so much for answering questions for designers and sharing your values with us today.
Thank you for having me. This is a great experience, great conference. I love what you guys are doing, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who are you? What do you do? And why are you here at IDC?
So my name is Matt McElvogue. I am president of Teague, so 100-year-old design consultancy. Sort of started more industrial design, right? But now we have a broad view of design, I'd say the last 20 years or so. I'm president there, so on the what do you do, I help lead the business, I help build strategy. I'd say I'm sort of chief conciliator, during the day, okay, where are we gonna go? There's different points of view. I still get involved with kind of creative POVs and stuff like that, a lot of thought leadership, or even just internal, I wouldn't call them a memo, but that's a succinct way to say it, that kind of kick things off, right, and stuff like that. So nowadays, a lot of writing, not my background, but so I read a lot about writing. And then what brings us to IDC? So a lot of the executive leadership at Teague have had a lot of involvement with IDSA. I've helped run IDC before, do speaker committee selection, that kind of thing. Our VP of growth has been chair of IDSA, our previous CEO, chair of IDSA, and then our founder, if you go all the way back, he was one of the people that helped found IDSA. So we have a rich
long-standing
history.
relationship.
And we love it for building community, being around kind of peers. Selfishly, that's why I come, because it's I feel like designers can understand one another, so it's nice to be around my kind, if you will.
So what drew you to Teague, and why have you stayed?
Well, originally what drew me to Teague was a group that then I was like, hey, this isn't working. There was this really cool group called The Kitchen. There was a very sort of innovation forward, let's try things, let's build things in a scrappy way and stand up prototypes really fast. And when I got in, I was a little like, man, we need to like sort of make this more of an actual kind of like business. It's still what we do, but
Yeah.
we kind of shifted a little bit. But that's what originally attracted me. There was a bunch of cool people there, mad scientists doing wild things, and I was like, I got to go be a part of that. And it's still true, even if the shape of it's changed. And then
Sure.
I stay because we just get involved in like some of the coolest stuff, right? And we have this awesome blend of like the small things that are very cutting edge, trying new stuff, and then there's big things where you're touching something that like a billion people are going to see or
Right.
interact with, right? With aviation or some of the other stuff we do. So that's what keeps me there. It's like sort of the scale of the projects, big and small.
Awesome. So Teague, being a 100-year-old company, has gone through a lot of the evolution that industrial design has gone through, continues to go through. How does Teague stay relevant?
Yeah, I think we stay relevant in a number of ways. We're like dogmatically focused on like end users. Like that is one of the things we do. We do that in a way that more internally we'll call it kind of like being very blue collar about design. We don't have like a preconceived notion of like what design should be or how it should show up or how our portfolio should take shape. We really do enjoy bringing design to like new spaces, new frontiers, and all the messiness involved there, and all the hard work, and not really knowing where you're standing, right? So I think we stay relevant by kind of leaning into new challenges and not being too rigid on our perspective of like what we do and how we do it.
Right.
So if you look at our portfolio over time, there has been some sort of like cut throughs, but there's a lot of stuff that changes with different eras, and we bring in different skill sets, and we learn and grow, and people that stay end up being quite like multi-talented, I would say. You know, and we encourage that sort of exploration and like pioneering kind of attitude, you know. So I think that's how we've stayed relevant. We're also very good at managing the business, and that's hard to do. It takes a lot of people thinking about it all the time, but we do a lot of work around that too. Yeah.
Something you mentioned earlier that is a little bit different with Teague is that you are company owned, you're employee owned. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about that? Because that's a little different for especially a design firm.
Yes, for sure. We love that we're employee owned because sometimes I say like we win small, lose small. We're not attached to some mega corp that expects certain returns and stuff like that, right? But we also don't have all of those additional superpowers, that kind of thing. But I think it is it's been for us a blessing, and it's taken different forms over the years. There's been times when individuals do own the majority of Teague, and it's employee, but it's a couple of people. There's been times where a larger group has owned it, and then now, last couple of years, we became a employee share ownership program company, which means you sell the company, you pay off you buy the company really is what you do. But you pay off all of your sellers, the people that previously owned the company, and then as you pay down the debt you took out to like do that, you release shares to the employees in a much like flatter way, right? There's still a bit of hierarchy, but we did that because we felt like that was the right legacy to leave as we went through a big leadership transition and me taking over leadership and whatnot. We felt like that was the right way to kind of move away from sort of a group of people owning it to like, hey, how do we share this amongst the crew again? And we're leaning into that. We're a couple of years into that now. It's been good. It takes, we joke it takes someone hearing how this works sort of 7 or 8 times for it to finally click, but we are now getting the kind of questions that we hope we would around like a shared feeling of ownership and responsibility for the company, which people have always felt. There's just a new edge to it. So that's, we've kind of protected that, and we believe in that.
Great. How do, now that you have multiple owners and multiple stake in it, the shared values amongst your employees, how do you retain a central shared value?
Yeah, there's a couple of things in there. To maintain it is, I'd say, we don't talk about this like openly, but we try to empower everyone to feel a level of ownership about like how they approach things, how they do things. And the shared values really come through, I think, like meticulous hiring. Like we're very careful on who we hire. I know a lot of companies would say that, but like we're almost like painstakingly picky about who we hire. So it's like, and it's not a personality test or anything like that. We just try to put it through the ringer to be like, hey, is this gonna kind of work? Are they gonna approach problems with this kind of like blue collar attitude that we can try new things, we could zig and zag if we have to. So I think the people is probably how we kind of like maintain it. And then there are like philosophies we sort of adhere to that are spoken about a little bit more. So one is like, we call it thinking through making. Think about authenticity. I think it's a very authentic way, a very vulnerable way to approach design. It's that, early on every project, you're expected to stand things up and get real feedback, right?
Yeah.
So we do a lot of research, we do a lot of testing. We bring people in, we kind of form cohorts that run with us through the course of a project, and we bring people in to like see what we're building from earliest kind of like paper, maybe a quick animation, all the way through to like, you're sitting them in like a pretty high fidelity version of a plane or space station or whatever it is. So we think through making is kind of the way we talk about it internally. That looks different on every project. We're not rigid about it, but we do encourage people to stand stuff up. And the vulnerability or like the disarming that comes in that is like, you can't, there's no sacred cows. You can't hold onto your babies anywhere. And like, I'd say big egos, if they do work their way in, they normally get worked out because it's just not how we approach things. So
a natural settling, if you will.
Kind of, and that can take a minute, right? And normally someone realizes, hey, it's not my space or whatever. But
that's kind of why you have to be extremely particular. Is it's not as easy to just get rid of big personalities or problems that fit within personnel.
Especially
when they're partial owners.
100%. Yeah, we try to be very careful because of all the things that you're saying, right? And we don't want it to disrupt the group or whatnot. So, I don't want us to sound. It's not an elitist thing at all. It's like we hire people all the time, but we try to be very careful about kind of how we build the teams and all that.
It's a different model.
Yeah,
and good, bad, or indifferent. There's a lot of firms that will hire knowing that it's a volume mill to get the right person, rather than we're going to take the time up front and make sure that person fits so they become a better part of a bigger team.
Of the group, and we're always innovating, like kind of who we bring to the events, like how we do the interview loop, So we're always experimenting with that too, which is kind of fun, trying new things just to see if we can learn something about somebody.
Great.
A lot of network hiring, like anywhere, right? But
so is there anything you're looking forward to out of the conference? I know you guys are supporting our opening party this evening. And is there something that you're looking forward to seeing?
For me, like I mentioned it maybe right before we got on, or right at the beginning, but it's, I do just enjoy being around a bunch of peers, like I don't think of what we do as like a lofty thing always, right? But I do think of like life as a designer as a little like angsty. It's like really good designers can't help but like look at everything and be like, oh, we could fix that, or we could, even if it's not your area, right? Like, it is. It's a curse in some ways, or at least I try to explain that to my partner and my friends, and they're like, dude, you have a cool job, and I'm like, yes, but it's angsty. So I think when I'm at events like this, I am maybe selfishly always looking for a bit of camaraderie, or hearing that other people are facing similar problems. I think it's going to be very interesting to hear how people are like integrating AI. I just watched a talk where they were highlighting that there's a shift from sort of the way we have been using AI to now maybe thinking of it as a means to build tools when we see opportunities. That's like a line I've been preaching, so I'm interested in seeking her out and kind of saying, hey, talk to me more about that. So it's camaraderie, I think, like when I'm at an event like this.
That's great.
And maybe a little affirmation that we're not alone in like what we're dealing with.
That's great. Matt, thank you so much for spending time talking with us.
I appreciate it.
And thank you for supporting IDSA.
Thank you. I'll catch you later. Cheers. Thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
Who are you? What do you do? And what brings you to IDC?
Who am I?
It's a deep question.
Big question. I am Meija Jacobs. My name, Meija, my mother made it up, and it means my joy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Didn't always live up to it, but eventually I think I came to fully step into it.
Excellent.
What was the next question?
What do you do?
What do I do? I'm now an executive coach. I help people find their creative edge, supercharge creative capacity for leaders, teams.
Wonderful.
My background in design is at IDEO.
Oh, okay.
I was there for 15 years, during which time in backwards order, I led a brand and communication design studio. I co-led a food innovation studio.
How fun.
And then a bunch of other stuff across many different industries, brand, product, service.
Right. So today's conference theme is values, and I'd like to know both maybe in your previous practice, but also in your current practice, how do you let your values lead how you approach design?
Yeah. So I'll give you like the deeply personal first and then expand out. So personally, my core values now, which as a coach, this is part of what I help people do, find their core values and really use them as a compass to help make better decisions more quickly, because when life becomes uncertain and ambiguous, it can be really challenging to know sometimes what to do. But when you have your values, you don't have to know the right answer, you just have to know how to navigate.
Right.
So for me, creativity, courage are my core values.
Awesome.
A value that used to be a core value when I was at IDEO was rigor.
Oh, yeah.
And I have retired rigor from my core values, because it served me in connection with those other values. It served me really well when I was running what I was running in that capacity of my life. But in the work that I do now, which is largely about holding space for other people to find what's true and what's real and what they need to get out of their own way, I don't really so much need rigor.
The rigor. So this is really interesting, because now we're diving into the space of, as your values shift, evolve, what kinds of struggles do you have in either letting go or having these core things evolve?
It's hard to let go of something that feels familiar.
Okay.
And I find that people can stay in sort of stuck loops with things that aren't necessarily productive ways of working or healthy ways of being when they want to remain in the familiar. So letting go of what's familiar is oftentimes challenging, but a first step towards change and growth and development, but it can feel scary.
I think I had a conversation about this earlier, that going outside of your comfort zone can sometimes be a challenge when we spend so much time building skills to be competent and comfortable at something. How do you coach people to face that fear?
Well, one thing I was talking earlier with one of your students about actually is travel, which is a great proxy for the general design principle of getting out of your comfort zone, right? So that, if you're not going to Japan tomorrow, which is a great thing to do, to be inspired and to get out of your comfort zone and really see things from a different perspective. Yeah. Quick double click on that for a second, which is in Japan, which I just got back from not that long ago, deep reverence for nature and deep discipline around craft.
Right.
Craft with a capital C, everything, every cup of coffee, every 7-Eleven sushi is going to be perfect.
Spotless.
And so seeing things from out of your everyday, out of how we're used to seeing them, can really shake things up and help you, adopt a different vantage point. And so travel as a proxy. But if you're not going to Japan tomorrow, just going to a museum or an art gallery or a comedy show, something that gets you out of your the rut of the thing that you think you're trying to make progress on. Right. People often find themselves, especially high achieving, hardworking designers that are really pushing and trying to solve maybe a really complex design challenge. Can really be in that space of push, try to solve, and actually what would make it a whole lot easier is to step outside of that box entirely and get back in touch with the other side of your brain that's not actually about solving, that's about creativity, that's about play, that's about wonder and awe and those kinds of things. So how do I help people do that? I never give advice. I never tell them what they like. You should go to an art gallery, but I ask them what lights them up. Like
Gotcha.
when they were a kid, or the last time that they felt completely lit up and full of joy. Like what were they doing? Like the other day, I was coaching someone and they were telling me about the last time that they felt calm was taking their dog on a walk.
Right.
And we kind of went a little bit further on it, and they were saying, with the dog, it's a 75-pound dog. I can't have my phone in my hand because I've got to navigate this dog.
Yeah, of course.
And so the dog is sniffing, trees, and I can only have my hands around, things, the leash and the poop bag and whatever. And so I'm looking at trees and nature and just kind of attuning to what's right in front of me. And
Right.
it creates this sense of calm. And then I go back to my workstation and I'm refreshed,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how you are not really guiding people, you're helping them kind of guide themselves by finding out what is really inside them that they've kind of lost touch with.
Yeah. Because I can't presume to know what it is for you.
Right.
How would I know that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're all so very different, even though we have a lot of things in common, especially at a place like this where there's a fair amount of things in common with both how we were brought into the design career or education, or maybe some of us have similar upbringing stories, but we're so very different, and what motivates us is very different. So, what are you seeing here today at the conference or over the last couple of days that has really connected with you?
Today, Amber Case,
Yeah.
her talk on calm technology really resonated with me. It was like a breath of fresh air.
Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so there was this one slide where she showed a picture of herself in New York City at a, I guess, Central Park maybe.
Sure.
And she had this, she was walking by this tree and had this long stick in her hand. And she said that this was a moment where she was super frustrated in her apartment working on a design problem and just
Right.
feeling really, like nothing was going anywhere. And so she went outside and she got, connected to nature and actually yelled out loud. Like she's like, I'm this
Right.
crazy person, but it's New York, so no one's gonna
Yeah.
blink an eye if
Right.
I run around a tree with a stick in my hand and
Yeah.
scream out loud. And so I thought that was such a great example of, her larger point, which is about the human touch, the human connection.
Yeah.
As technology, makes things frictionless, makes infinite making possible, right? Like technology and AI are now making it possible for us
Yeah.
to create anything, pretty much. So the question is less about what's, what can we make, and it becomes more about what's worth making.
What should we make? Yeah.
And so back to your values question, which is when it comes to what's worth making, and looking back at my 15 years at a human-centered design and innovation company,
Yeah.
at the heart of that is what's worth making is something that actually serves a real human need. Just because
Right.
technology can do it now, make something feasible to do, doesn't make it a good reason to do it, even if that's going to make a lot of money for a
Right.
company.
Right.
Because if it's not, at the end of the day, if it's not something that's actually meeting a need that people have, and ideally an unmet need,
Yeah.
then we're not doing anyone any good. We're not doing the environment any good, and we're stealing the creativity and the humanity away from us,
Right.
from people, from jobs, etc.
Great. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for answering questions for designers, and enjoy the rest of your time here at the conference.
Thank you so much. Can I?
Welcome.
Hi.
Who are you? What do you do? And what brings you to IDC?
Okay. My name is Christina Perla. I'm the co-founder and CEO of MakeLab. We're a 3D printing company and we print parts for other companies.
Great.
And what brought me to IDC, I'm also a board director of IDSA. And so
So there's that.
that's what brought me to IDC.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So you were up on main stage this morning doing some introductions. You've been part of helping to make this happen. What is your role as a board member in a conference like this?
Well, I'm a board director of the bigger IDSA.
Right.
And so we actually didn't have too much involvement with the conference.
Okay.
We help shape and we help push, from a higher level and from
Okay.
a strategic level. Like, where's the organization going? How do we maintain relevance? How do we keep delivering to the attendees in the audience?
Yeah.
And how do we keep expanding and, really pushing for ID?
Excellent. How do you see those types of initiatives you put in place at a strategic level enacting in a conference? And what are you seeing today through some of the speakers?
Honestly, I think the ID is kind of at a point where there's a lot of questions. I think there's a lot of newness, there's a lot of technology changes, a lot of AI talk, and there's a lot of fluctuation in the value of ID and the perceived value of ID. I think I've heard this before from others where it goes through these cycles where you have the agency models really working and then the in-house models really working.
Right.
And the agency model is great because it's very centralized, and so it's a really easy way for us to connect and network. But when you go into the in-house model where companies are building their own teams of ID and they want the domain expertise, they want to really build it from the ground up, you have smaller and scattered teams. And so it's harder to connect, it's harder to find the opportunities.
Right.
And from what I sense from talking to people and from what I gather from New York and everything, that's kind of the stage we're in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's good to hear at the strategic level, this organization keeps its eye on where the industry goes, but also how do we counteract that, or how do we make sure to cater to that?
I think I like the theme of this conference is
Yeah.
being authenticity project. I think we need to be talking about the things that people have questions about, and we find that
Right.
out through conversations, through being on the ground, through connection, through people feeling comfortable enough to share their actual thoughts.
Right.
And
Sometimes these are hard conversations to have.
Totally.
Yeah.
But our job is to listen.
Yeah.
And so I think anyone that makes an effort to come to a conference like this and spend 4 days
Right.
in a place that's not their home, they're willing to talk if you're willing to listen.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the start of it. I think it's a simplified version of it, but I think it should be simple. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you see today's conference theme is values, and we've talked a little bit about that. How do you see your values as a design industry member expressed here? How do you help express that through leadership roles?
I think embodiment of values is really important. You can't just talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk.
Okay.
And so I love a good hands-on approach to things. For me personally, one of my big values is team. I don't think
Okay.
we can do this without each other. And I
Yeah.
think you should feel a bit of the warm and fuzzies with your colleagues and your teammates. You should feel like you're all rowing in the same direction and at
Yeah.
the same beat, right? The same heartbeat, so
Right.
to speak. And I think that the only way to exemplify that is by doing. And so that's a really big part. I've heard a lot of conversations about that.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, I haven't been to all of the
Yeah.
the sessions and whatnot this
Sure.
morning. A lot of conversations happening,
Yeah.
a lot of meetings. But from what I'm seeing from all the other attendees and whatnot is there's an appetite for that, and that is encouraging.
So is there a takeaway from today that you feel encouraged by?
I'm seeing an uptick in energy.
Okay. Yeah.
Energy of attendees.
Yeah.
I'm a big, I think that's where it starts, right? That's where alignment starts, is alignment of energy. What are you excited about? What do you hope to see? And from talking with everyone has a lot of hope. And so I think through any period of time that's a little uncertain,
Yeah.
it starts there. Like anything good starts there.
Correct.
And so that's what I've been sensing.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
I appreciate you spending time with us and sharing with us your experience, your guidance, and your leadership.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, have a great day. Bye. Hello, who are you? What do you do? And why are you here at IDC?
Hello, I'm Shannon McPartland. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Partnerships at College for Creative Studies, and I'm here today to help develop new and established partnerships for the school that we hope will lead to more interactions with partners that want to hire our students or work in the classroom with our students, or maybe even come back and investigate some of our new programs.
Wonderful, wonderful. So in full disclosure, I'm an alumni of CCS, and it's really great to see the college stay active with the organizations as well as being a part of industry. I know sponsored projects was a big part of what helped me experience a project in reality with real world designers at that time. It's something in education I know I look to try to bring in myself. It's a tough job. How do you approach that when you are looking at meeting the needs of the students, the university or the college, or as well as what the industry is looking to get from the engagement?
Yeah, I mean, it's super important for us to really put the student at the core of what we're doing. It's all about being student-centered at CCS. Hopefully that was your experience too.
Yeah.
And so what's really important for us is to understand, what our partners need, what's mutually beneficial for them and our students, and then understanding how a sponsor project would impact a student's learning. So we look at the learning outcomes from the studios that we're going to place those projects in,
Right.
and make sure that it marries up really well with what the partner is looking to do. And then we kind of make those natural connections. And once that happens, it kind of just, progresses through conversation. It takes sometimes 4 to 6 months to really get to where we want the project to be, but in
Yeah.
the end, we find they're really successful because the students get that professional practice in the classroom, and our partners are getting a first kind of look at maybe some talent they want to hire.
Oh, sure.
But also just like new, unique perspectives on real world design problems that they're also facing. So it really ends up being a win-win for us.
That's great. That's great. So today's conference theme is values, and obviously we're talking about a lot of potentially mixed values, but how do you maybe channel some of your own personal values into building these relationships?
Yeah, great question. What I think is really important is that, like I said, we're being really student-centered.
Sure.
Understanding what the students need to have a valuable education is core for what I'm doing at CCS, and to me, because I think they're investing a lot of money, time, resources in being at CCS.
Yeah.
And so what I can do is work with partners that I think are bringing similar values into that process.
Okay.
So it happens through building relationships with our partners, understanding what they do, as an industry, and then working with our chairs and faculty is super important because they also have a vision for their department.
Sure.
And it's kind of my job to take that vision, partner that up with industry, and then figure out how does that then impact our students in the classroom. So for me, it's all about collaboration and being really thoughtful about making sure we're bringing meaningful experiences to our students and our partners.
Great. So can you share some solid examples that you were particularly proud of how these relationships become fruitful and you have great student outcomes and a great professional outcome?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. We have
Sure.
such amazing partners. Just being in the Motor City, we work with a lot of the OEMs.
Yeah.
GM, Ford, Stellantis are all right there. In all of them, I will say, it goes beyond the classroom for them.
Right.
They might be hiring our students and doing sponsored projects, but they're also invested in kind of bringing up that next gen of students into art and design careers.
Yeah.
So they're not only supporting what we're doing at CCS with our undergrad and graduate students, they're looking at high school students, middle school students with
wow.
us.
Yeah.
So they're partners in that journey. And I think when you look at how an industry partner really supports that whole process, those are the partners we want to work with. They understand the
great.
value of art and design education to the long-term growth of their own industry. So we're just very fortunate, and I named 3, but there's so many partners that
Yeah.
that believe in that kind of talent growth and pipeline,
Yeah.
and see us as a valued partner in getting those students through that.
Now, I have a question. How does technology and the kind of shifting and expansion of that really affect how you approach companies or how companies approach you?
Yeah, I think that became really relevant to us during COVID.
Okay.
We had to really shift. I don't want to use the word pivot, but we had to pivot.
Yeah.
In the middle of the semester, you
Yeah.
know, we had partners coming into the classroom doing these one-on-one reviews with students in person, and then all of a sudden we couldn't do that anymore.
Right.
But we still had to fulfill our, agreements with the partners and our students, so we went totally online. And what it did for us is really help us to shift how we produce deliverables.
Okay.
So we didn't have to just have physical models or printed boards. It was, how do we put a physical model into a 3D environment, so it's like an animation, using new software platforms.
Right.
And so what it did for us is help us kind of expand what our capacity was and
Sure.
competencies were in technology, especially for the students. And I think that has seen significant growth over the past few years.
Right.
And now, of course, we have AI coming in, and I think that's going to play a really big role as a potential tool for our students to
Yeah.
utilize. We have an AI policy on campus. Every department looks at it differently.
Sure.
But I would say, from what I can tell, the students are using it as a tool.
Great.
To support more of like that research phase.
Great, great. That's great to hear, and it's also encouraging to know that, us as an industry, us in the education, and just humans have hit a 1-2 punch with, we had going through COVID and everything being online to now it's like, oh, this huge shift to AI. It's a lot of growth very quickly.
Very quickly.
And seeing that stage of education is really helping to adapt with that. So,
I think it's kind of a responsibility we have too as educators,
Yeah.
that we're helping our students, but that we work so closely with industry, so it's like leaning on what they're doing and making sure that we're maybe considering that in the classroom, but vice versa. They're looking at us and they're
Right.
like, well, what platforms are your students using? And should we be having that in our, company? So
yeah.
it's really about strong relationships where we can mutually and beneficially work with each other.
That's wonderful. Shannon, thank you so much for spending time with me. Thank you for answering questions for designers, and enjoy the conference.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And that's day 3 from IDC 2026. Tomorrow's topic is presence.